We are taught to fear cancer early in our lives. We're taught to control our diet, to avoid smoking, and to avoid spending too much time in the sun without sunscreen. But there are some forms of cancer, like breast cancer, that are not easy to prevent or predict. What we do know is this, that if caught early enough, most breast cancer patients have a chance of bouncing back into their lives with all the strength and energy they had before their diagnosis. We're going to share one of those stories today. Let's get started. Our guest today has one of the most recognizable faces in the Philadelphia area. Tracy Davidson is a 6-time award-winning journalist and an acclaimed public speaker. After starting her career as a morning radio news anchor in New York, Tracy has since become a fixture in Philadelphia as the host of NBC 10 News Today every morning from 4 to 7. She's also a breast cancer survivor. Well, thank you, first of all, Tracy. It's so exciting to have you here. I'm honored.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm
Finally.
a little nervous and intimidated because of you, but that's okay. We'll get through this together.
We're going to get through this together.
So why don't we start with, you are the morning face. You know, we wake up every morning to you and we see this beautiful smile and it's like our little sunshine in the morning. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that people don't really know that you've overcome a great deal of adversity in your life, throughout your life, most recently with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. Tell us what it was like the moment, you decided to go public. Why did you decide to go public with your story?
Well, I asked myself that all along the way, when and if I will tell people about this. Because I did keep it very quiet because I wanted to continue to work during my radiation treatments, and my team was terrific, and they sort of buoyed me and filled in for me so that I could be on TV every day and then go home and sleep and then get radiation and then sleep some more. But I said, if I can help somebody else, if my story can help somebody else, and I think for me, early detection was the key. So I thought, if I can tell my story and it can help somebody else, then I'm going to tell my story.
And you have probably touched the lives of how many, right? You get letters and thank you cards.
I hope. I've had more than a couple people telling me, because my message was don't wait. Don't wait on your regular mammogram. Don't wait, man or woman. If you have a regular test scheduled or you're supposed to be getting a test, get it done. If you feel something in your body, whatever it is that feels unusual, our tendency is to blow it off. And my message is don't wait. Maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's something. And that something, you'll be able to bounce back from that something, perhaps because of early detection.
So for years you were a news journalist, right? Reporting stories about other people having cancer, other people dying. So now when you're reporting the news or you're meeting with people, has it changed you? Has it given you like a softer approach maybe?
I don't think so. I think I've always been very grateful, but now I think I'm doubly grateful for my life every single day.
Well, you definitely have a great outlook on life, and your childhood was often riddled with adversity, and you have such resilience. So could you mind if you share some of your childhood today?
So I grew up with 2 parents who had substance abuse problems. My mother was definitely alcohol addicted, and there was some violence in the home fueled by abuse, addiction, substance abuse. And so it was me and my brother, who is a year younger than I am, and my sister, who is 8 years younger. And it just taught me to figure it out. And so many times when there was no food on the table, well, I can figure this out. There's a refrigerator and there's something to cook. I mean, just the other day somebody said to me, you can go into the refrigerator no matter what is there and just make something that looks like dinner. And I said, well, of course, because that's what my brother and I did, and we tried to take care of my sister, and so there just wasn't a lot of attention paid to us, and we just had to fend for ourselves, and we just figured it out.
So, but figuring it out for people is not always so easy, and bouncing back and overcoming adversity in our life is just not so easy, and people ask me all the time, well, how do you do it? They want that one answer. What do I do? How do I do it? When people probably ask you the same question.
Well, and my aunts will often say to me and to my brother and to my sister, you kids are miracles. There's no way that you all should be as relatively sane as you are, with good jobs, with stable families, with great support networks. So, I thank God for that, first off. But I think it has to do with the message that you send to yourself, because it would be really easy to say, look, I came from bad parents, and then you get stuck in it's their fault, and you get stuck in, well, of course I'm not going to make anything of myself. Look what I came from. Well, where does that get you? And the blame game, oh, it's their fault. Where does that get you? My parents did the best they could, and I didn't get stuck in that message. So when you're talking about the nugget, are you resilient? How do you bounce back? You have to change the message, because if the message continues to say, well, of course you're a loser, because look at the parents you came from, and they didn't help you, and they didn't make sure you got to school, and they didn't get you involved in this, and they didn't push you to do this. Well, if you continue to say that, and that's why I am the way I am, and I'm a loser, and I'm never gonna, well, then send that message all day long, because that's where you'll be. You have to change the tape that plays in your head.
That's excellent advice. That's what I say all the time to people. We have to change the tape, but obviously that's easier said than done, right? So there are days, I'm sure, that when you first found out you had the breast cancer, I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure you allowed yourself to be, sometimes I think that strong people like yourself, we forget that we're human beings also, and we have to give ourselves permission to cry or let our guard down. So when you were in the throes of, dealing with your breast cancer, did it take you back and say, you know what, I got this, I'm pretty resilient?
Yeah, and I think it's an and. I think that you can sit with whatever it is, whether it was the time in my childhood or my doctor just told me I had breast cancer. I mean, I think that you can sit with it and say, I have hope, because I know I'm going to come out on the other side of it. You can sit there and say, this is not good. This doesn't feel good. I'm scared. I'm down. Holy cow.
Right.
And so it's not an either or. It's not, well, oh my gosh, the world is caving in on me and I'm just stuck. And it's also not, everything will always be great. It's an
There's
and.
a medium.
I'm going to sit in this, and it is not fun. And I'm going to cry for a couple minutes and say, I can't believe I have breast cancer. Or when I was younger, oh my gosh, I'm trying to keep my little sister safe at night. And, I don't know how we're going to do this, or how will I get to this program at school. I mean, but you can't stay stuck in it. You have to say, and I know I'm going to come out the other side.
I'm just so in awe of you, because, so many of us think we have a bad day if like one little thing goes wrong. You know what I mean? It's so much of life, I believe, is truly our mental, the way that we look at life. We've been saying that all along. It's our message. Again, easier said than done. My son was on the way here today. My son called and he said, "Got any piece of advice?" And I said, "Change your approach." He's in an internship that he's not loving. I said, "So change your approach." So. Did you ever create, I do this, I create like little mantras in my head, like, you got this, or I talk to myself when I'm driving. How do you prep yourself? Do you ever get nervous when you're in the morning news? Honestly, probably not. Right?
I enjoy it so much. I really do. I love information. I believe in empowering with information, and I am a consumer as much as I am a reporter of it. So I love information.
And now you're starting a whole, I don't want to say a new career, kind of branching out into public speaking, which is great. You recently did a TEDx talk here locally, and did a fabulous job. And it seems to be that your mission, so to speak, or one of your platforms which you want to share, is our digital age, and how we're all spending so much time on staring at our screens. And I have to tell you, since I watched it, all I do now is put my phone away.
Well, and so what my TEDx talk was about was focusing your attention and how we're really having it stolen from us. And if we want to say truthfully, we're actually giving it away in many instances. And it's not to say that any of this digital is bad. Look, I am a big lover of Twitter, of Facebook, of my Periscope in the morning, all of it. And you have to choose when you want to look at that. Because if somebody said stop, if you were at lunch and you see this all the time, and you do, you see it in restaurants, and people are sitting at the table and they're going like this. But if you actually said stop, this is 2 minutes of your life, 2 minutes that you cannot get back. What do you choose to do with it? Do you choose to pay attention to this human being who's trying to tell you a story, having human interaction, Or are you checking who retweeted you? Which is more valuable to you right now? Because the string of these right nows is your life.
I think I think it's an excellent point. I don't know, I find it fascinating that we're all living in this world. I've been reading a few books as well about, you would think that we're more connected with social media, and in fact, we're less connected than ever before.
Correct.
So, one of the things I've been trying to do is actually one of your advice as well, is to try to create like a digital free time period. You actually recommended an entire, I think a whole weekend. I will admit, I don't know if I could do an entire weekend.
How long did you last? Not long, an hour?
No. And so I created a digital free zone in my house.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's a great start in the kitchen.
It's a great start.
So don't bring your cell phones to my kitchen, or if you're going to have dinner, you're going to have to talk to me. We're going to talk together like this, right? So we've covered a lot. What other advice do you think you could offer for people that are watching our show right now and they're thinking, well, that's Tracy Davidson, she's beautiful and she's got it all going on. What would you say to the college student maybe who's watching the show right now who wants to do something? You didn't take a traditional route for your education, right? So why don't you share some of that with us and then give that message? Like, what would you say to the students that are watching this and saying, I want to be the next Tracy Davidson?
So I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college, but radio and music actually helped me survive my childhood. And my brother and I would listen to music, and I really knew my groups, and I knew what were hot songs, and I knew what was on the Billboard charts. And so when I went to college, they said, would you like to join the radio station? Said yes. Well, as a freshman, you have to take a really early shift. You have to work under a senior. Yes. Right? So I worked at the radio station. Then, would you like to work at the FM station and read news?
There's a theme here. I also want to just interrupt you for 1 second. It's called work, work, work. Okay?
Right.
It was not easy.
Correct.
People think that it's easy getting to where you are.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Then there's a small radio station about 40 minutes from the campus that has a weekend morning shift. Okay, college. Let me take you back. College, weekend morning shift. Yes, here's my tape. And so I did that, and I got my first job in Rochester in radio news when I was at the end of my sophomore year. And I tried continually as I went on to finish my degree, and I just never finished. And so then about 10 years ago, I thought, I want to be able to talk to people about God's love, because I've just told you about my childhood, and how else do you explain that the three of us are still living? But to do that, I figured that I needed some education, some foundation to be able, some theology to be able to talk about that. Well, I would love a master's in that. Only problem is I don't even have my undergrad. And so 10 years ago, I came here to Temple. And of course, I'd already taken all the journalism classes, so I humbled myself in huge lecture halls. I had to hire a tutor to get me through a math class.
Me too. Don't feel bad.
Right? So I did that, and then I said, then I went to the seminary, St. Charles Borromeo Seminary, for a religious study certificate, and then I got my master's in holistic spirituality in Chestnut Hill College. The whole time working, and because I said yes, because this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Because you said yes, though. It's because you worked hard and you had the tenacity, and a lot of it, Tracy, is belief in self. You believe that you wanted more. You believe that you deserved more. So you are speaking the truth when you say you weren't listening to your old tapes.
No.
That maybe, when you were raising your siblings and your alcoholic parent was neglecting you, that could have sent a strong message to you that I'm not good enough. I deserve this, right? So you have to get out of that.
Yeah, and I changed the message and said, I can do better. I can do this. I'll figure out a way.
And you have done extraordinary. How is your relationship today with your parents?
It's good. Because of all of her substance abuse, my mother is in a home in Tucson, and my father is in Central New York, and I just saw him last weekend. So.
And they must be in awe of you.
They're proud. It's nice. It's nice.
So what's next? What's on the horizon for you?
Well,
I know there's a book coming, please.
There's a book in the works. But I love speaking. But look, my true passion that I've been doing for 30 years is news and journalism and asking the right questions and getting our viewers the information that I think they need to know and that is valuable to their lives. And so, who knows all the platforms that we'll be able to push that information out on in the next 10 years. I've really started to use Periscope in the morning behind the scenes. I love our team does a lot of Facebooking and promoting the team, promoting topically stories that we're working on, all different ways to find people where they are, to get them the information that I believe is valuable to them. So when I think of my next 10 years, that's still at the core of my existence, is what I do on TV.
It's amazing to me how much, what you do has evolved through the years. I remember you and I are both, I would say we've been around for a while in this industry.
We are women of a certain age.
Oh, I like how you said that. We are women of a certain age.
We are.
So we have really watched this, the news evolve and change. And it's been wonderful waking up with you every single day in the morning and just watching you and becoming friends with you. Again, did we have one piece of advice that we could give a student watching this that says, what's next? What should I do? Or if they're confused, what would you say? I always tell people to treat yourself like your own best friend. Do you have one mantra that you give to people as advice?
I'd say create your own light. Create your own light. It's there. And don't let anybody into your white light who is not supporting your light.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you very much. And it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much. While raising public awareness of breast cancer is a necessary battle that we must fight as a society, personal awareness begins with you. You are your own first line of defense. There is no shame in self-testing. There is no embarrassment in getting a mammogram. There is no harm in seeking a doctor, even if it turns out to be nothing. Bouncing back from a doctor's bill is a lot easier than bouncing back from an undetected life-threatening disease. Learn how to test yourself. Learn your family history and make sure that you know who you can count on when it matters the most. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Bouncing Back.